Project New Kuwait, with its strategic focus on international connectivity and trade, aims to position the country as a key player in the global economy. This vision is part of Kuwait's broader ambition under Vision 2035 to transform into a global business and financial hub. Central to this vision is the enhancement of international connectivity, fostering robust trade relations and creating an environment conducive to business and investment. Improving international connectivity is a multifaceted endeavor. Kuwait is working on expanding and upgrading its transportation infrastructure, including airports, seaports, and road networks. These developments are designed to facilitate smoother and more efficient movement of goods and people, making Kuwait a more attractive destination for business and tourism. The expansion of Kuwait International Airport and the development of new ports are examples of this focus, aimed at increasing the country's capacity to handle international trade and passenger traffic. Fostering trade relations is another key aspect of this pillar. Kuwait is actively seeking to strengthen its trade ties with countries around the world. This involves not only expanding its export markets, but also diversifying its import sources. The country is engaging in bilateral and multilateral trade agreements to reduce trade barriers and create more opportunities for its businesses. Efforts are also being made to participate more actively in international trade organizations and forums, enhancing Kuwait's visibility and influence in the global trade arena. Enhancing the ease of doing business is crucial in attracting foreign direct investment and encouraging the growth of local enterprises. Kuwait is streamlining business processes, simplifying regulatory procedures, and offering incentives to businesses. There is a focus on creating a more transparent and efficient business environment, reducing red tape, and providing support and guidance to businesses looking to establish or expand their operations in Kuwait. Digital connectivity is also a vital component of this strategy. The country is investing in digital infrastructure and technology to facilitate better connectivity and more efficient business operations. This includes the development of e-government services, digital platforms for trade and commerce, and the adoption of new technologies in the business sector. Furthermore, Kuwait is leveraging its strategic geographic location to become a regional hub for trade and commerce. The country is well positioned as a gateway between Asia, Africa, and Europe, and efforts are being made to capitalize on this advantage. This includes developing logistics and warehousing facilities and creating special economic zones that offer attractive terms for businesses. Attracting international talent and expertise is also part of Kuwait's strategy to enhance its global connectivity. The country recognizes the value of having a diverse and skilled workforce and is working to create an environment that is welcoming to expatriates and international professionals. The international connectivity and trade pillar of Project New Kuwait is vital for the country's transformation into a global business and financial hub. By improving transportation and digital infrastructure, fostering trade relations, simplifying business processes, and leveraging its strategic location, Kuwait aims to enhance its role in the global economy and create new opportunities for growth and development. This approach is integral to achieving the goals of economic diversification and long-term prosperity as envisioned in Kuwait's Vision 2035.
Hello and welcome, dear viewers, to our program, New Kuwait. In this episode, we will talk about rules and regulations. Today's episode, as you know, we will talk about our National Development Plan and a New Kuwait 2035. Today's episode guest is lawyer at law, Mr. Sultan Shimali. Hello and welcome, Mr. Sultan.
Thank you, Mr. Saad, and thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. We have the pleasure to have you here in the show, actually, expert at law. As you know, our National Development Plan started 10 years ago. It will go for about 10 more years. Before we talk about the rules and regulations that are today, 2024, let's talk about the Constitution first, Kuwait Constitution.
Of course, any country, any democratic country would obviously have a constitution. This constitution came into force within the early years of 1960s. There are about 120 clauses. They talk about the freedom of passage, the freedom to eat, to have a healthy life, a healthy lifestyle. And then we've also seen a different kind of image of freedom, which is the equality between a man and a woman. Obviously, Kuwait is also a pioneer within the region with empowering women, giving them their marital status,
Yes.
giving them their legal status, giving them their workforce. They're being paid equally to a man. They're having the same job that previously wasn't available for an average woman here in Kuwait to have that job. And an example of that being an assistant attorney, which is Wakil al-Niyaba here in Kuwait.
Yes.
Previously, a woman would never handle such a job. They could never take into criminal cases. They could never investigate criminal cases. But now we could see in any given prosecution, there is a woman working side by side to their peers
Yes.
and handling these cases.
Yes, and they are doing a brilliant job. As we saw, Kuwait is a pioneer and still was and still the pioneer in terms of empowering women. And we are proud of our Kuwaiti women. As you can see in the National Assembly 2005, women get the right to vote. And then about a few years later, I think 2006, they actually get elected to be in the member of parliament. This is something to be proud of. Kuwait is for all. Women, men and women, they are equal. So in terms of these, when we change these laws, I don't think that we have a lot of conflict in the streets because we understand that we need the time for change. And this actually is still happening. We need to change. 2024, I think we have some laws, we need them to be changed. In terms of Kuwait, we talked about off air. You talked with me about the gray zone. Is it the
Economic zone.
economic zone? Yes, thank you. So this is something I think will have a lot of conflict in the streets. What do you think?
Economic zone is a must, Mr. Saad. We've seen many countries who are a business hub themselves having economic zones. So just to have a brief idea of what is an economic zone.
What is the benefit of these economic
What
zones?
is the benefit of the economic zone?
Yes.
The economic zone would be a tax exemption zone. You could trade freely. There are not many restrictions that you would have if you would go into the customs here in Kuwait. If you go to the Ministry of Interior.
But under the international law, so you
Of
cannot
course.
just trade
Of
with
course.
anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
You cannot go there and trade with an illicit substance.
Yes.
This is obviously a crime that you could be prosecuted here in Kuwait. And an example of that, the selling or the buying or the purchases of drugs. Now, many people would say that the economic zone is a free-for-all. There's no any exemptions, there's no restrictions. That's in the contrary. There are some laws and they are abided to the international community guidelines.
Yes.
The same economic zone is, say for example, in Dubai. The same economic zone is in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, and in the region. These economic zones is a must for any country who are thriving to be a business hub.
I sense that you really looking forward for this zone.
Of course.
Why do you agree?
Of course, because we're gonna be attracting many customers here in Kuwait. Now,
Yes.
bringing in people who are trying to set up businesses here in Kuwait is something that we need to look for. It's something that we need to find some grounds and actually put some incentives for them. They're not gonna come just by the name of it.
So this is the only way.
It's many of the way. It's one of the ways.
But I
would
think
say.
this is the most important way, actually, because a lot of people, they talk about rules and regulations of Kuwait.
I wouldn't say, Mr. Saad, mostly that this is a major way, because even though Kuwait doesn't have any taxes, so people would go to Dubai or would go to neighboring countries for their economic zones because trying to exempt from taxes. Kuwait as a country and as a whole, there's no taxes. So in the first place,
This is the most important thing.
of course, many businesses from outside of Kuwait come to Kuwait for that sole reason, because taxes would amount to 40% to another country. An example, one of the foreign countries or the Western countries, the major or the normal tax would be 40%. So, for example, you would pay 100,000 KD,
Yes.
$100,000
Yes.
for you to set up a company, and you would pay just from the start $40,000 just to set up that company
Yes,
as taxes. So this is
So-
a huge cut.
So this is something good for Kuwait. How come we don't see a lot of investment in Kuwait?
I would say that's unfortunately true. But reputation has to do a huge part of that. Many people mistakenly don't understand how the business companies or day-to-day business here actually work in Kuwait. But it's much, much better than any given countries. Tourism is also a huge aspect to this. We don't have a huge tourism part in Kuwait.
Actually, we don't have tourism.
We don't have tourism.
It's very low.
And the tourism here in Kuwait are coming to visit people who are residing here in Kuwait. So tourism coming straight to Kuwait just to visit Kuwait, we don't have that, unfortunately, within the grounds of Kuwait. Now, reasons to that might be because of restrictions that we have here in Kuwait. They have a general idea that Kuwait is an oppressing country. This is not true. Kuwait is a freedom-like country. There's not many restrictions that would actually observed on the average person who would come into Kuwait. But the real problem is look at the roots, Mr. Saad.
Yes.
We have many reforms that we need to thrive
Actually, Saudi Arabia is the example of this.
The New Kuwait Project is a comprehensive and ambitious initiative aimed at transforming the economic and social landscape of the state of Kuwait. Launched with a long-term vision, this project envisions Kuwait as a leading financial and cultural hub in the region, diversifying its economy beyond oil and positioning it for sustainable growth and development. One of the central features of the New Kuwait Project is the diversification of the economy. Kuwait recognizes the need to reduce its dependence on oil revenues and expand into other sectors such as finance, tourism, healthcare, and technology. This diversification strategy is geared towards creating a more stable and resilient economy. The project places significant emphasis on the infrastructure development. This includes the construction and expansion of transportation networks, logistics hubs, and urban development projects. The goal is to enhance connectivity, improve quality of life, and create a more conducive environment for businesses and residents. Sustainability is a core principle of the New Kuwait Project. The development of smart cities is a key feature, integrating technology to enhance efficiency and reduce environmental impact. Investments in renewable energy, green infrastructure, and environmental conservation demonstrate Kuwait's commitment to a sustainable future. The project also recognizes the potential of Kuwait's rich cultural heritage and aims to promote tourism by investing in cultural institutions, museums, and preserving historical sites. Kuwait seeks to attract visitors from around the world. This focus on culture contributes to the broader goal of economic diversification. To encourage both local and foreign investments, the New Kuwait Project offers a range of incentives and opportunities. These include economic reforms, regularity improvements, and streamlined procedures for setting up and operating businesses in Kuwait. The aim is to create a more attractive investment climate. Human capital development is pivotal to the project's success. Investments in education, vocational training, and healthcare are essential components. Kuwait seeks to develop a highly skilled and healthy workforce capable of contributing to a knowledge-based economy. Kuwait aspires to become a global business and financial hub. To achieve this, the project focuses on improving international connectivity, fostering trade relations, and enhancing the ease of doing business. These efforts are designed to position Kuwait as a strategic player in the global economy. The New Kuwait project represents a forward looking vision for the country, emphasizing economic diversification, sustainability, and global integration. This initiative is a testament to Kuwait's commitment to shaping a brighter and more prosperous future. As the project continues to evolve, it has the potential to significantly impact the region and beyond.
As you know, Mr. Sultan, we saw that Saudi Arabia is a good example of tourism. In 4 years, they changed the tourism upside down. In Kuwait, I think we are struggling. Do you think we are struggling because Kuwait, they don't need actually the income from tourism. We are a rich country. We are, let's say, they call us people that Kuwaitis are rich. Is it because of the need of the economy and income? We are not progressing in terms of tourism.
Mr. Saad, we need to learn from our neighboring countries. The other day, I've been watching a documentary, and it was talking about one of the neighboring countries to Kuwait, and the reforms there in Kuwait, which is trying to focus from an oil-producing country solely on oil-producing economy,
Yes.
and shifting from that from oil-producing economy to different kind of sectors to attract business opportunities, starting from tourism, starting from banking, starting from investments, starting into companies going into the IPO, which is the initial public offering for those companies. Now, this didn't come into just for the like of it. They came because they realized that one day this oil is going to run out. And when the oil run out, it might not be in our lifetime, it might not be in our children's lifetime, but it could come into our grandchildren's lifetime.
It will come.
And if it comes, then it's game over for us because we cannot even find any other solutions, because it's a one aspect. You either produce oil and then you feed it and you pay salaries with it, or you're going to have to look into different ventures. So this neighboring country have been focusing into shifting the oil producing economy to different aspects. And they know and they realize that this is an actual solution, that they have to work to find a solution for it. And this solution is not going to come within 30 years. They have to act upon it as of now.
Yes.
And we need that in Kuwait.
Actually,
we're not looking into that in Kuwait.
Actually, in the past, I don't know if you agree with me, I think Kuwait is changing to a new Kuwait, a better Kuwait. Sustainable energy here in Kuwait, we're starting to see a lot of projects, especially Shigaya project. They want to change how to use oil. As you said, if we don't need oil, it's game over. Actually, it's starting to happen. Sustainable energy, clean energy. The world is changing. So I think we have no other choice but to make Kuwait as a financial hub.
Exactly. This is an excellent point that you pointed out, Mr. Saad. The world within the Geneva Conventions, they're trying to focus from an oil reliable economies into renewable energy, which is eco-friendly. Such example is using solar panels. This is all trying to cut the depending on oil. Now, if these countries go and shift that focus from depending on oil to an eco-friendly, then how would Kuwait...
Did you notice the solar panel? I saw them in Wafra and Abdilia. This is something really interesting to see in these places, especially because the culture of changing to sustainable clean energy in Kuwait, I think is getting with the people.
Closer.
Yes.
Yes, and the future is very near, Mr. Saad. We can see it even in Kuwait. Kuwait is using
it our generation or the next generation they will use?
We're going to have to talk to economists to have his opinion on that. But Mr. Saad, we need to take some major reforms in Kuwait. We need to shift focus from an oil-producing country to a different kind of business ventures. We are considered to be a strategic point in the graph. The Kuwait is considered to be at the spearhead of the Gulf.
Yes.
Many trading, even the trading line, they're talking about reviving the trading routes of the Silk Road. And one of those roads is going to be through Kuwait. We need to also work on that. Now, I don't mind Kuwait shifting to a clean, efficient country, because this has to do within the globe within itself.
Yes.
The planet also needs some reforms, because you could see the droughts, you could see the firestorms, you could see the planet suffering as a whole from these coal emissions and these oil-producing emissions. And Kuwait have been taking that into consideration within the wafer farms that we've seen these solar panels.
Yes.
And it could actually affect our economy, but at the same time, we are meeting the Geneva standards.
Yes, actually, this will cause a cultural shock for the older generation here in Kuwait. If you tell them that we need to drive electric cars, we need to change to solar panels, to change a lot of, it will be a shock. There will be a refusal from the people. The average citizen here in Kuwait will not change. But do you think this will take more than 10 years to change everyone in this cultural aspect?
Of course, because it doesn't have to be Kuwait to notice that. Mr. Saad, even your day-to-day business, your clinics, your t-shirt is all made from polyester material. The polyester material is also made from the oil. So as a globe, as a planet, it's going to be very hard to shift. It doesn't only have to be cars and gasoline. Your day-to-day life is also dependent on the oil.
Yes.
So it's going to take some time. So be relieved. Kuwait still have some time.
Actually, I am the one who took the refusal for these new straws in the coffee shops and these recycling aspect. I was thinking that what is this? Because I was young, I was clueless. Now I understand that these are actually causing more damage than just convenient for me to drink, to have my drink or to eat my food.
Of course.
So these will change, I think, with the generations and hopefully slowly for our country.
Actually, I would, like I said, Mr. Saad, I'm not an expert in the environment and eco-friendly resolutions or even an economist. But I'll tell you something that I've learned from a personal advantage. When I was doing my master's in UK, when we wanted to drink a coffee from any normal coffee shops, they refused to give you a new cup. Only if you paid an extra £2 for that. You would only drink within these cups if you brought in your own cup, and they would fill your cup for the drink that you purchased.
This is extreme, I think. It's too much.
I wouldn't say it's extreme because you
this is
only
the only
have
way.
this is one of the many ways that for us to save the planet as a whole, Mr. Saad.
Yes.
You could everyone needs to start within themselves. We've seen even the fish industry, even the fish industry.
The maritime is suffering, of course.
The maritime is suffering. There have been a lot of pollution within the sea. Even the shrimps, they have many of the polyestic substances within the fish itself or within the shrimp itself, and then it would end up in the food chain that you would eat. So you need to take that into consideration,
of course,
Mr. Saad. And Kuwait as a whole, as a reform, have been realizing that. They've been making reforms. You would see the EPA, which is the Environmental Public Authority, taking into force within these aspects.
Yes.
So these reforms and the Kuwaiti 2035 vision is not only about shifting from an oil-producing economy. It's going to have to do with education, with the infrastructure, within the environment. And these reforms are actually taking initiatives.
The complete circle of 7 pillars for our national development. And they talk about all of these in one, as you say, formula. And we are actually achieving, and hopefully by the end, by 2035, we will see together a new Kuwait. Mr. Sultan, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Saad.
You are most welcome. That was Sultan Shimali. And with that, we conclude our episode. Thank you for watching.